In this lesson, we are going to talk about ancient Egypt. The word ancient refers to a long time ago. During this lesson, we will be talking about the lives of Egyptians who lived thousands of years ago. So, who were the Egyptians? Egypt lies in the extreme northeast of Africa along the Nile River. People have lived in the area since the Stone Age, and modern humans arrived about 60,000 years ago. In Egypt, the Nile River flows right through the country and into the Mediterranean Sea through the delta, making a long, very fertile valley. Over 90% of Egypt is scorching desert, so it's sometimes called the Red Land. However, it also contains the greatest river on earth, the Nile River. The Nile is the longest river in the world, with it being more than 4,000 miles in length. It flows from the highlands of Central Africa to the Mediterranean Sea. This mighty river provided the basis for great civilization of ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt also had kings and queens. However, in ancient Egypt, the term pharaoh was originally used to describe royal court, but over time it was used to refer to the king himself. It was unusual for a woman to rule in Egypt, and a queen was referred to as a great royal wife. The ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was the god Horus in human form. Horus was known as the Egyptian god of the sky. The pharaoh's job was to look after the harmony of the universe, as well as to perform religious ceremonies, and was the honorary high priest of every temple. One of the most famous pharaohs was Pharaoh Tutankhamun. He was one of the most well-known pharaohs of ancient Egypt, who was born around 1330 BC. Tutankhamun was just 8 or 9 years old when he became king. Pharaoh Tutankhamun died during his 10th year as pharaoh when he was only 19 years old. He was buried in a tomb, which is a building where the ancient Egyptians would bury the deceased. One of the religious beliefs of the ancient Egyptians is that they mummify a body after the person has passed away. A mummy is a body that is preserved by drying and wrapping the body in a waxed cloth to stop it from rotting away. They believed that they had to mummify the body so that they could preserve the person's spirit, also known as Ka, by the Egyptians, so that the deceased would be able to live again. The mummified body would then be placed in a sarcophagus, which is a coffin to hold a mummy in an Egyptian tomb. Another interesting fact about ancient Egypt is that they used hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics is a form of writing using pictures and symbols. There were about 700 symbols in the system, which was first used in the 4th millennium BC. Hieroglyphics were used in ancient Egypt and were many times painted in the rooms that led to the tombs. The hieroglyphics were accompanied by paintings and would describe stories about the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, if someone was considered a scribe, they were considered a person who could read and write in ancient Egypt. The last part of the lesson that we are going to focus on today are archaeologists. An archaeologist is a person who studies the lives of ancient people by looking at their things. The most significant archaeologist that has studied ancient Egypt is Howard Carter. Howard Carter discovered the untouched tomb of King Tut in November 1922. When Carter and his team found the tomb, inside was full of some of the most spectacular treasures of ancient Egypt. One of the most amazing discoveries made by the archaeologist Howard Carter was that King Tut's sarcophagus was made out of pure gold.